TikTok, it's time to rock. The executive producer has been busy doing new cards. If you guys have a look there on the bottom there, we've got a new card. We've got all the co-hosts' Instagram accounts on there. We've got Brad, we've got Kurt 5150, and we have Simon, and that's just going to make at least one finger happy during the course of these shows. Instead of putting up 50 clicks, I'm going to do 40 clicks.
40 clicks.
Nice work, Andrew.
Is that how many? Is that how many it can do? Is it in a 2-hour show? It could do 40.
Oh well, something like that. As usual, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to introduce the Sunday team. It's Andrew here from New Zealand. And then on the top rung here, we have Brad from Melbourne. And down there on the bottom somewhere, we have Simon from London.
Down under.
down. Oh, yeah, down under. We've got some people in the chat. Simon's going to go through and say g'day to you guys all. We've got a couple of things that we want to sort out before we get into the show. So if you guys just give me a second. We are, as usual, streaming on some other platforms. We are streaming on this platform here, All About the Blues. And we are streaming on All Things Eric Clapton as well. So if you guys are over there, hit the subscribe button, please. We've got a couple of shout-outs that we want to do. We want to do a shout-out to our brother, Kurt, who is in the 1,000 club.
Yes, 1,000. Congratulations, Kurt.
Congrats.
Yeah, cool stuff. And with his Bumblebee guitar as well. That looked fantastic. Yeah, hats off to him for that. Getting that finished.
He's done an amazing job on that thing. It looks fantastic.
We want clips. Sound clips.
Yes.
And if you guys who are watching in the chat, jump onto your fake accounts that you've got and subscribe to our channel. We only need one more subscriber and we've got 600. So pull out your fake accounts.
Have you got a fake account? I don't have a fake account.
Who's in the chat? Who's in the chat, Simon?
Who's in the chat? Let's have it. Let's look at it. So we've got Nelson. Good morning, Nelson. How you doing? And Sonia, of course. Hi, Sonia. And we've got Arvin. Good morning, Arvin. Hope you're good. Oh, look, we've only got hey, look out, Mickey Settlemire as well. And we've got Teresa Maria de Souza. Morning, Teresa. And we have Black Salami. Dangerous territory. And we have Ellen Borisov. Morning, Ellen. And we have Warren. Hey, Warren. Good morning. How you doing? And we have Jonas Hallberg from Sweden. I hope I didn't butcher your name, Jonas. But Renus Pinkle, he's in the Mile High Club. Lucky boy. Yeah, so that's who we've got in the chat at the moment. So morning all. Hope we're all good. And it's good to see you all on this auspicious day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should say Happy Father's Day, shouldn't we, to everybody in the US and the
you
UK.
Can't say it. You can't say it.
We can
say it. We can say it to you because you're the father, and it's Happy Father's Day where you are. So we're going to say Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to Simon and to all the other fathers that are watching this show.
No, they all are behind me. See, look, the rabble that are mine. Where are they? There. See, look there, up there. There's these people over here when they were much younger. No child support payments.
Awesome.
I have many child support payments, Renus. Many. Taxing them about, giving them money to spend on, I don't know, Pinot Grigio. Did you take the rubbish out like I asked? Good morning, Brad's mum. She's back. We do, Warren. We only need 401 to get to 1,000. And then
thank you,
the
Warren.
sky is the limit.
Yeah, and we do appreciate Warren's help. He's been instrumental in getting a few people over to our channel.
Yes.
We know that. It's been very, very good. Sonia, we know Sonia's been...
students.
Yeah. And we know that Sonia has been. So Sonia's in the green room. So does Sonia want to come into the stream? So I'm not sure how she wants to do that. So maybe Sonia might want to reply in the chat how she wants to do that, or not. So we'll leave that open to her. But we're going to do things a little bit differently this time, guys. We've got a whole heap of photos here that Brad's dug out, and I've got a couple of other photos, obviously, too, that I thought might be interesting. So we're going to go through the photos before we talk about the album, just to set the scene. I've had some feedback from a few people, and they enjoy the fact that we show the photos. So who would have thought? Who would have thought that photos would have been a highlight of a YouTube show?
Yeah, I think it sets a mood. The photos, you get an understanding of the era, the album, the whole bit.
Bribing his students, giving them an F.
So we've got Sonia in the stream too, guys. Can you hear us, Sonia?
Yes.
Hooray!
Awesome.
Hello. Is it very late where you are?
Yeah.
Sunny Texas.
1:15 a.m.
Oh. Just time to wake up.
Yeah. It's a pleasure to have you on a stream with us, Sonia. You've been a friend of our channel for a long, long time. You've helped grow our channel when it was just a couple of rat bags doing it, and we certainly appreciate it.
I appreciate being here.
Awesome. So what we're going to do, Sonia and everybody else in the chat, we're just going to flick through some photographs that Brad in particular has supplied, and he's just going to talk a little bit about them. Then I'm going to do, obviously, a bit of an introduction. Nothing major, nothing heavy, because it's all about the other co-hosts sharing a little bit of information. But I certainly do look forward to talking about this album and getting some general feedback. And as usual, I know that Brad will make a point of saying this, but put your ranks in the chat.
Yep. We like to hear what you guys have got to say. Definitely.
Okay, hold on. I'll get these photos up. I didn't put them up in any particular order, bro. Is that okay?
No, that's fine, mate. Normally I give you a bit of an order, but this time I just thought, well, we'll wing it. We'll do something different. So there's
it's never escape and 10 out of 10.
That reminds me. That reminds me. 10 out of 10 and never escape.
10. All right. So this is taken from their tour, or this is taken from the movie at Madison Square Garden. Song remains the same. So you can clearly see this might have been them playing No Quarter or something like that. I'm not sure which song, but you can see John Paul Jones is on the keyboards. So I'm guessing or alluding it would be probably No Quarter. So especially, you know, you get to know that. I know that movie backwards. So you can almost see Robert Plant stance there. His stance there almost tells me that that's the song No Quarter. And with Jimmy Page, the way he's sort of holding the guitar, he's obviously just finished that little line, I'd say. Again, that's song remains the same. Obviously, around this is after the release of Houses of the Holy, and they were touring here, so it's time relevant. It's not long after they released Houses of the Holy, so obviously Jimmy Page has had a bit of a haircut, scrubbed himself up a little bit, but I always wanted to try and look as cool as, you know, Jimmy Page with a low-strung Les Paul and a dragon suit. It just never really happened, unfortunately. It's John Paul Jones with his pom-poms on his jacket. I always thought that was a bit of a lie.
Mhm.
And you can see him there. That's definitely no quarter, in playing no quarter there. So obviously that we're going to get into those songs when we get into the album.
You know, he's playing Trampled Underfoot.
Oh, I trampled underfoot there. You
No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. It's right. It's the other
that there
Zeppelin
would
song I
be
could think of that has keyboards on it.
that's John Paul Jones playing his jazz bass, which is highlighted in the overall record of Houses of the Holy. You can see that clearly. John Paul Jones is fairly into it. He likes staying up the back near John Bonham, and as we get into the songs, we highlight how integral his part in the band was, and how closely he played with John Bonham it was unbelievable.
Right.
So that there, lost it. So that's a photo from a bit later on, but I wanted to highlight a couple of his guitars that are obviously. He hasn't got the Sunburst Strat that he used on this record there, but obviously that Sunburst Strat led him to get the Lake Placid Blue ones. You got the Dan Electro and a few Les Pauls there, and I think the number one Les Paul in particular would have been probably, from the look of it, the one without the pickup cover at that point. I think he had the pickup cover removed. I'm not 100% sure on that, guys. That there is John Bonham's green sparkle kit that was used on the entire record.
So interestingly,
Wow.
it's not huge, is it? Look,
No, it's
two.
two floor toms, one rack tom, snare and kick, two cymbals and a ride. That's all he ever used, really. I mean,
It's amazing, isn't it? That back, that he didn't feel the need to have a 19 drum set and stuff.
there's a better picture of his live assortment of guitars anyway.
It's got the double necking. Yeah.
Yeah. But that double neck guitar doesn't feature on Houses of the Holy, but he would play the Rain song and Song Remains the Same on that guitar. And that was his guitar that he played. That's the back cover. So there's the song titles and the album cover as such with the kids. Now, there's some stories about this album cover, but the one particular thing is it's only two kids that featured in it. And it was a very cold day, apparently, and they wanted to capture this. I think Jimmy Page had someone else initially do a album cover, and it wasn't to his liking. So that's the inside sleeve.
This is Hypnosis, isn't it? It's Storm Thor's. The guy did all the Pink Floyd stuff.
I think so. Yeah.
And it's at Giant's Causeway. Those shaped stones. A place called Giant's Causeway.
Yeah, and I think I've got it. There you go. That's where they were taken. That's where that photo was taken, and it was a very cold day, bleak day, so they had to airbrush it, which is what they did on the album cover. They airbrushed the cover. So that there's notably his main Les Paul. He nicknamed number one, so that was his number one Les Paul. Right there. There's a classic shot from around that era, and it sort of summarizes what the Ocean was written about. The crowd, that was a little thank you to the crowd, basically, which is the last song on the album. There's a really nice picture of his main Les Paul there, Jimmy Page, around that era. So always fascinated with that Les Paul. It's a remarkable sounding guitar. Another classic photo of John Paul playing the
JPJ.
Yep. Bonzo, John Bonham. Obviously live he used a Vista Light kit, so it was orange Vista Light. Wasn't necessarily the drum kit he recorded with on the record, but that's around that Madison Square Garden era. That photo there in particular is them sound checking around the time they wrote, I think when they wrote Houses of the Holy, the song. I believe that's around that time frame. So that's a really cool picture. Obviously, Jimmy Page playing some acoustic material on this. There's some beautiful acoustics on this record. The Rain song, the start of Over the Hills and Far Away. So I just thought that's him live. Obviously, I don't think that would have been, that guitar didn't feature on the record as such. I think that would have been more of a live one. That's a picture of them there boarding a plane, and interestingly enough, they were on their way to Japan, but Singapore wouldn't let them in because of their hair was too long. So yeah,
It's been like that ever since.
Mm-hmm.
Singapore won't let you in.
And that photo there is them. Basically, that one there is an Austrian taxi for Zeppelin on their tour, on the European tour in March and April 1973. So I thought that was a cool picture of them, that they were rock stars, but they still called taxis. That there in particular was the house that Jimmy Page purchased, Pumpton Place, his manor house in East Sussex, and he had his home little studio recording, studio set up in there. So he arranged a lot of the music, which is something that they hadn't done up until this point. For this record, he arranged a lot of the music leading up to it. Same with John Paul Jones, did the same thing. They did a lot of arranging and stuff. That there is the place where they started recording. That's Mick Jagger's house, basically. It's his luxury mansion in Berkshire. And they got this venue, obviously, to start recording. And they switched because they did some tracking and they did some listening back, and they weren't happy with the overall sounds that they were getting, so they moved on to some studios. So, but I thought that's a really cool pic of Bonham in the studio playing his Sparkle kit. So that was around that era when they were recording Houses of the Holy. That's another shot of them live on stage. I think that might even be from Madison Square Garden. I'm not sure, but that's Pagey playing Song Remains the Same on the double neck live. Eddie Kramer, everyone knows who Eddie Kramer is. If you don't, he was the Mr. Are You Experienced? He was Mr. Hendrix. He had a lot to do with Hendrix, especially one of my favorite albums, Axis Boulder's Love. Electric Ladyland, he was part of it as well. So yeah, he was pivotal in a lot of this record. But there was also Andy Johns, but Andy Johns got booted. That's a really cool pic of Jimmy. I'd say in that point he's probably playing the Rain song or something like that.
That's a pic there that I just dug out. Yeah, instrumental in the success of Led Zeppelin. Looked after the band, so yeah. So Peter Grant was their manager, and he was the driving force and everything behind the scenes, and a monumental part of Led Zeppelin's success. That's a great pick too, Andrew. That's around that era, just after the Houses of the Holy. Jimmy on his double neck. Clearly they're playing, it has to be Song Remains the Same. Awesome. Okay, I'll get rid of that. So just hold on, guys. So we've got a few chats. What have we missed in the chat here? We've got the Pride of Gothenburg in the chat. G'day.
Yeah, Deja Voodoo. Good morning.
Guys.
Hey, Voodoo.
Yeah. So good to see you guys. Thank you very much for coming to us. Yeah, just while you were doing, I've got this. This is my. This is the reissued. It's so big I can't control it, but it's huge. But with the cover, but it's a fantastic couple of pictures on the inside, which I can't. Oh yeah, I can just about see what I'm doing. That one, and that one live. I love that live picture.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, the beautiful bit is they're probably on quite a big stage, but look how close they are together.
Yeah.
And when they're standing, standing right by Bonzo, playing, right next to him. Fantastic. Great pictures.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's a really good re-release of that. I know that. I haven't got it on LP. I've got it on CD, but
I bought them all on LP. I think pretty much. Just physical graffiti. Yeah, they're good. I mean, it's for a fan. They're good for fans.
yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's me.
Okay. All right. So, what have I got here? Just bear with me, guys, because I've got two devices here giving me some notes. So, what do we got here? Houses of the Holy. Just give me a second while I get myself together.
Yes, Warren, I do have trouble like that.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, Pride of Gothenburg. Yeah, Dancing Days is one of my. They're all amazing. I'm not going to give away too much yet, though.
Don't give away too much.
Okay. All right. So, interesting album. Released in March '73, and it's sometimes referred to as Led Zeppelin 5.
Right.
I've done a little bit of research, and it's interesting what some of the commentators have said about the album, especially when it was released and over time, that it shows Led Zeppelin's progressive rock side. I don't know. I'll be interested to see what my co-hosts think about that. But I just said this is a rock and roll album. If there are hints and elements of this album that have gone on and inspired progressive rock bands, that's great, because that's the whole idea with music and with albums. But I wouldn't consider this a progressive rock album at all. One of the great things about this album too, guys, is the central role that John Paul Jones played in this album. And I'm sure as we go through and talk about some of the tracks, all of us will be able to talk about that. I've got some notes here. So obviously Robert Plant's vocals and backing vocals. You got Jimmy Page playing the guitars. But look at this. This is what John Paul Jones is playing. He's playing the bass, the mellotron, the synthesizer. And I've got another little photo that I'm going to throw up here a little bit later, because Simon's a little bit close to this machine, and we've spoken about this on other programs. He plays the organ, the piano, the grand piano, the synthesizer piano, the synthesizer bass, as well as backing vocals. My gosh, it's clearly John Paul Jones's album. And then on drums and backing vocals, you've got John Bonham. So before I continue with my introduction, guys, what do you think about John Paul Jones's contribution to this album quickly? Brad?
It's pivotal for the record. He was his orchestrated parts. He clearly, when we get to the songs that he's pivotal on, I'm going to make a heavy reference to John Paul Jones in them. He was, this is one of the highlights of his career, this record, without a doubt. For John Paul Jones, this would be his highlight for his career, I think, this record.
Simon?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think there was that classic thing, isn't it, that they always said, "Oh well, if we need somebody to play something on this, we just get John Paul Jones because he can play everything." There was never any thought about bringing in anybody else to play on their records because John can play everything. Recorder on Stairway, and as you say, organ, mellotron, any kind of keyboard instrument, and he's played many of them on Led Zeppelin's career. So yeah, I mean, a mandolin as well. He plays his guitars, mandolins, and things.
I think there's another
amazing
component too, Simon, in relation to John Paul Jones that I think doesn't get enough credit. The fact that he might be, or is clearly, a multi-instrumentalist. He had a technical ability, because he was hanging out and he was using these synthesizers, which requires another part of the brain to get your head around, so he was the guy that could actually sit down and analyze and be analytical. I think. Yeah.
I agree.
think
I agree with that. He has an avant-garde side to him that is much less well known. I mean, I've said on here before, that he I spent 2 weeks with him in the north of England, in a town called Huddersfield, the Huddersfield Music Festival, and where he did purely avant-garde stuff. It was like avant-garde synthesizers and sort of drums and things. But and I've seen him more recently. I don't know. My dad was still alive, so maybe 10 years ago. He toured with a Norwegian avant-garde group called, I think they're called Supersonic. But he played bass, and basically he would go on tour, and they were playing at this 200-seater venue. The Arnold Viny's an art centre in Bristol. Yeah, and it was pretty much all improvised bass and stuff like that. They had synthesizers and keyboards and computers and all the stuff. Yeah, so he's always had an alternative life, doing that sort of more technical stuff, music, which is interesting. He's a very interesting man.
One of the great things too about this album for Led Zeppelin fans too is that it's the first album not to have a blues progression. So this is a gateway album that paved the way further and further for Led Zeppelin's career. But one of the reasons why I think when we reflect on this album over time is that we're all guitar nuts, and Brad and I and Simon, we've spoken about Led Zeppelin 1 and Led Zeppelin 2. We've done shows on these albums and the blues riffs and how really important they are for guitar players to get under your belly. But this album takes us on another journey, takes us on another trip altogether. And I think that's why we secretly love this album, because it's in contrast to those other albums. And as I say, it'll be interesting to see what my co-hosts and everybody else in the chat has to say. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to pass it on to Brad, and then Simon's going to round up. So the song remains the same. Okay, so we all talk about song placement on albums, and we specialize in this because we think we know a little bit about it. We think the three of us have a bit of an idea and a bit of a clue, and the success in songs and albums, and whether or not they are majestic albums or just average good albums. But Jeepers, the song remains the same. Opening this album is catastrophic for the album, because anything else that follows after this song, is, in my opinion, it's in its dust. It's in its wake. It's left behind, because the song remains the same for me as my top 3 Led Zeppelin songs. I just love this song. I've made a couple of notes here, guys, so just bear with me, please. I'm only going to talk a little bit about a couple of songs, so just bear with me. Sorry. So one of the great things that I loved about the song when I first heard it was just that magnificent 1 minute 30 seconds that we all know. We're listening to something that is just phenomenal. This orchestra, this instrumentation, this soundscape, and then all of a sudden, we've got Jimmy Page doing this far out, awesome guitar lick, and then we've got Robert Plant singing "I Had a Dream," and we all believe him. We all. Okay, so what's your dream, bro? I love it. I love it. And there's a couple of little high points in the song, but I'm just going to mention one, and I'm going to steal my co-host's thunder here. But I'm just going to steal one thing. I'm going to share the spotlight. But when Plant goes into California Starlight, Sweet Calcutta Rain, and when I heard that octave higher, I just loved it. I just thought, how can someone do this? How can he sing like this? And then after a bit of information gets released, we actually find out they speed the tape up. But he does a couple of good versions of it live. you know, so you know, go and check out some live versions, and I know that Brad and Simon will talk about those versions specifically, but I just love that. I just love the start of the song, and the way that Jimmy Page gave Robert Plant an opportunity to put lyrics to it, because apparently, from what I've read in preparation for the show, Jimmy Page always wanted to do something instrumental, you know, but Plant said, no, I'm going to sing. No.
Did he do it just like that? Did he go, no?
No. Yeah. He said, no, we're a band.
I have never heard Robert Plant speak like that. Or do that with his hands.
Okay.
Jazz hands.
Well, just have another go at me then, you know, a New Zealander doing a Robert Plant accent. No. But look, I'm going to pass it on to Brad and Simon, because I could just talk about the song, as Brad often says, you know, for the next 10 years, but I won't. I love the song. The song is the masterpiece of the album for me. It's the masterpiece. This is a Brad score. Never a skip. 20 out of 10. And it's the one song I think that besides that famous song, that just for me summarizes Led Zeppelin. Brad.
Well, it's hard to follow that, Andrew, but I'll do my best. I can't be as animated as you, mate, but I'll try. But song remains the same. I mean, Houses of the Holy as a record for me is has rapidly became my favorite Led Zeppelin record. It's such an amazing opening track, like you alluded to there, Andrew. I mean, it segues into the next song as well. Like, I see these two songs as being one song. But like you said, Jimmy Page wanted this to be an instrumental, and he wanted it to lead into the Rain song, which is the next song. And Robert Plant obviously said, no, I want to put some lyrics to it. Let's have a crack at this. So, you know, Jimmy Page obviously was like, reluctantly went, no problem. And the working title for the song was Overture. And from my understanding, the song starts off with the stab accents. It's a Fender 12-string, electric. And bottom on the drums is just like infectious in this song. You can clearly hear the Ludwig he's playing, the green sparkle. It's amazing the recording techniques that they use for his drummings. You know, they would use like 3 mics and basically got one in front of his kick drum, and because he's such a heavy hitting drummer. When I say heavy hitting, he didn't lift his hands high; it was all on the wrist. And Eddie Kramer's quoted as saying, you know, he was the one of the easiest drummers to record, because everything he hit consistently in volume perfectly. So their miking techniques to get that bigger sound were distance miking or overhead miking with one kick drum mic, and basically that's how they get his sound. Phenomenal, really, in this day and age when they put 20 mics on a drum kit to try and get a big sound, and then you hear Bonds playing like this and it sounds phenomenal. You know, I will note the drum beat in this song is very similar to Achilles' Last Stand. If you have a listen to Achilles' Last Stand off the Presence album, very close. So he revisited this drum beat a lot in a lot of jams as well. And this particular song stemmed from a jam live on stage, I think in, forgive me if I'm wrong, about 1972 when they were playing Dazed and Confused. So it stemmed from a jam. Yeah, the idea of the song anyway. They obviously might have checked it, like sound checked it, and they said, hey, let's just have a jam on this in the middle of this song, and they did, or whatever it was. So it did stem from his idea stemmed from a jam. And some beautiful bass playing from John Paul Jones on this song. As Andrew noted, they get away from the blues aspect a little bit. There's no blues progressions on this record. There's a lot of color, a lot of orchestrated parts, a lot of composition, And John Paul Jones is all over this one. He's right in the pocket. He's doing some really beautiful lines. He's also just right on the pocket. We hear Jimmy Page like doing his first little solo before the verse. It's killer. That's obviously on his number one Les Paul, his main Gibson Les Paul. Then we hear after a minute and a half, just about a minute and a half, we hear our first verse come in, and Robert Plant is singing, I Had a Dream. Now, the vocals seem sped up a little bit, which apparently isn't confirmed. This is something that came from Eddie Kramer. He said that basically there's no proof that it was sped up, because what they did because what happened is, it sounds sped up, and that could possibly be just part of the mastering technique they used. But what happened was, if you pick up a guitar and you're tuned to standard tuning, the song's in pitch, so it's actually not sped. The whole song isn't sped up. The only explanation it could be is they recorded.
I thought it was just the vocals were sped up a bit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is an explanation could be is they sped his vocal up, but that would put it out of pitch. So, I have to sort of follow what Eddie Kramer said here. It's not confirmed. So, I don't know. I'm going to leave that one out there into cyberspace and let everyone else fight that one out. The song's like a journey.
I do know that Plant found it difficult to reproduce that live, and apparently in 2007 he lowered the key considerably, obviously to make his voice, but to get his voice out. But I think that's a good point, Brad. Thank you for that, because the information I've got said that the vocals were sped up, but I'm not going to argue with Brad.
Well, this is just information coming straight from Eddie Kramer. So he was part of the recording process. So we have to kind of go with that at this stage until it's proven otherwise, But I tend to believe the people that were involved more so than anyone else. So that might have been an effect they put on his voice, possibly in part of the production as well. I'm not sure if they did speak.
Or maybe he just nailed it that high.
The only way the only way you could speed his vocal up to get it in pitch would be to sing it off pitch. So that would be the only way that they could possibly speed his vocal up to get it in pitch.
So
they would have had to either that, or he recorded it, which doesn't make sense. He wouldn't have gone in there and sung it a whole octave down.
No, we'll take Eddie at his word, because we're a channel that does. We don't take hack reporters when it comes directly from the source themselves. That's generally where we tend to tilt, don't we, guys?
The guitar solos in this are perfect for the song. That played on his number one Les Paul. Obviously, we hear more brilliance from the rhythm section, and as the song goes on, again, John Paul Jones is playing. He's so locked into John Bonham. He's got weaving runs going. There's some Motown vibes. There's some really funk soul sort of playing, but he's sticking to that rock style as well. Robert's vocals are amazing. His harmonies are beautiful. Amazing lyrics. I mean, this is the maturity of a fairly young guy still, and he's writing really mature lyrics. They're very poetic, very mystical. This is one of the greatest guitar compositions Led Zeppelin did, without a doubt, in my opinion, and I could go on about it for hours. I give it 20 out of 10, and I'll pass it on to Simon.
Yeah, I think one of the things that struck me about this is that, to me, there is a direct line between Led Zeppelin 3 and this album. They're like companion albums, and it seemingly, I think 1 and 2 are very kind of blues, straight ahead blues rock oriented. 3 is diversification. 4 is still that, but a bit more focused rock album, and this goes then off into much more that experimental territory and using keyboards and all sorts of new things. They're spreading out, they're developing, and as a band and as composers and as players, and people with different ideas, and they're not just sitting back and doing what they did before. So, and clearly this is I have the record. I've had the record ever since it came out, and it did get mixed reception when it came out. It wasn't kind of completely critical appraisal wasn't necessarily that great, but
yeah, good point.
I think that's because it was so diverse. The diversity of the songs and what they did. So I think that yeah, this is how much I love this album. I used to have, when I was a teenager, I used to have a very little reel-to-reel tape recorder. Like, and they had mini tapes on it. They were about 3 inches across, or 2.5, 3 inches across. And I taped this album onto this tape, but just with the microphone in front of the speakers. I taped it so that I could take it to other places in my house and listen to it. Whilst I was, because this tape recorder was about, 9 inches square or a foot square or something, and had a little speaker. So I could take, it was a bit like the first, put it on cassette and carrying it around, but pre-cassette. I can't remember where I got the tape machine from. But anyway, I had this little tape machine. It was great. So, yes, I used to put it downstairs or wherever I was in home. And, and then I could have it on. And enough to really enjoy it, which is really cool. This is a 10 out of 10 song for me. I think it's a fantastic. It showcases where the album is going to go, what they're going to do. It brings in the keyboards. I loved. I've said it on here before. I think Jimmy Page is such a great producer. He knows when to stop. And he knows when to do things. He knows when it needs something, and they start for the intro, and then when the scene comes in, they play something completely different. Just a different thing. You go, but these days somebody hits upon a riff or a chord sequence. That's it, isn't it? Don't change it for the singing, or I think that's fantastic. Nice one, Arvin. So I admire that very much. I think that's fantastic, and I think the bass playing is fantastic. John Paul does not play just the roots or things. He's playing melodies, and he's playing the changes and all brilliantly throughout. I don't know. I just thought the Plant's vocal thing was a bit of an effect they put on it. To be honest, I didn't really notice that it was interesting. So, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 from me. Clearly, never a skip.
Awesome. The Rain song. Okay, so my notes here, guys, are undoubtedly the most beautiful Led Zeppelin song ever recorded. Hauntingly earnest guitar, sweeping strings. Page elevates his songwriting to a new level, and the band clearly are willing to go with him. And this song indicates to me that this is one of the great things about Led Zeppelin, and one of the masterful things that they did. And it's a thing that we like to talk about. It's a band always, and they weren't scared to support each other. And I think this song, as much as it is Jimmy Page's song, it becomes, after about 30 seconds, a band song. Just hold on, guys. What have I got here? The vocals in the song are exceptional. I know a lot of people talk about Stairway to Heaven, but this song, I think, is just at another level. How many minutes is this song? 7 minutes or something like that?
7 minutes 30.
Yeah, 7 minutes 40. It's a powerful testament of Led Zeppelin's ability to maintain our attention in a rock ballad, which I think isn't easy to do for a lot of bands. Gosh, this is a 10 out of 10. And when I think of the song Remains the Same, I've got to hear this song. It's like it's like Van Halen, Brad, Sonia,
Yeah.
and everyone else. When I hear Eruption, I've got to hear You Really Got Me.
Yeah.
What's Simon doing?
So, Simon got bombed out completely.
Oh,
The whole
okay.
day, it just the whole street, like my Safari just closed down. Bang.
Got a bit of background noise there, guys. So I don't know who's got that.
Yeah, somebody's
noise.
got. Is it, I don't know.
It's Sonia. It's Sonia.
It's
I've just. Yeah.
Sonia's eating sweets at the back, sir.
Oh, look! I love this song. I think it's beautiful. It's 10 out of 10, and I'll be, as usual, excited to hear what my other co-hosts have to say about it. Brad.
Well, the Rain song, it's one of the most beautiful songs ever written. And it's funny how this song came about. Obviously, it was arranged by Jimmy Page in his studio, his home studio. You know, one of the funny things, or not funny things, one of the things I've always said about George Harrison's song, Something in the Way, is one of the most beautiful songs ever written. And I think this is one of the most beautiful songs ever written as well. And those iconic first two chords come from George Harrison's song, Something in the Way. And how that happened was George Harrison said to John Bonham that Jimmy Page never wrote, or you guys never wrote ballads. So Jimmy Page went, well, we'll write a ballad, and I'm going to write it with the first two chords of Something in the Way. So those first two chords are exactly the same as Something from the Beatles, which is something I thought I'd bring up there. It's a wonderful example of blending acoustics and electric guitars together. It's in an exotic tuning, which is from low to high. It's D, G, C, G, C, D. So if you ever want to play the song, it's very hard to play in standard tuning, if at all. I've seen people do versions of it in standard tuning guitars, and it never sounds right. You have to use an open tuning. Robert, his heartfelt vocals and his lyrics in this are, my opinion, one of the greatest vocals he's ever done and ever recorded, and some of the most amazing lyrics he ever wrote. The introduction to John Paul Jones in this song highlights his ability to colour and complement a song with his arrangements. He plays a fretless Hohner XK250 bass. He's playing a Mellotron and a Steinway grand piano in it. Bonham's playing his Green Sparkle kit. He plays with brushes and traditional style and sticks as well. Obviously, when the drums really come in, it's thunderous. It really lifts the song again. The song's epic. I can't say much more than that. I love the outro piece. And the delay at the very end is beautiful. It's a masterpiece of arrangement. Highlights light and shade. It's phenomenal. In my opinion, it's a 20 out of 10. And it's just, it has to be one of the all-time greatest songs ever written.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree with that. I think what you just raised there, Brad, is significant. The fact that both Page and John Paul Jones had home studios by this thing, and that's significant in their development in this album. Is that they brought ideas and brought things to the band that had been they could work on at home, kind of thing, rather than just being in the studio. I agree. A couple of things I'll pick out of this song, that I love the fact that John Bonham starts with brushes, plays with brushes, and then he plays brushes but hard. He doesn't swap the sticks; it's just brushes. But I presume he turns around. But he just does it. I think the dynamics on this are great. I love the piano playing as well. I think the piano playing is great. It's got tremendous kind of mood, tremendous kind of atmosphere to it that I think is fantastic and different to anything they've done before. You know, the old Mellotron playing. I mean, I love the slight wobble. You know, the slight Mellotron, you know, signature wobble on the strings and stuff, which I think add to it. Not, you know, don't take it away. It's and I love the fact that it's, you know, it starts off with that acoustic guitar and it ends just with an acoustic electric guitar playing a little intricate piece at the end, and then that big chord at the end, which is lovely.
Awesome.
So I think it bookends itself brilliantly. It's a 20 out of 10 and never a skip.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I'm humbled by the information that my co-hosts bring to these shows. It's just remarkable, and thank you very much, both of you. The information and your opinions are just remarkable. Thanks.
No problems. Appreciate that, Andrew.
We have plenty to discuss, don't we, in these songs? They're brilliant.
These two songs, in my opinion, are mandatory to listen to back to back. 100%.
Okay. Yeah. So I finally worked out why why this album wasn't kind of received too well at the beginning when the album was released. Where's Sonia gone? And Sonia, are you coming back? And I think the reason why, after doing a bit of research, is that when you consider the first two songs, they're on the heels of Led Zeppelin 3. And, you know, with that acoustic kind of folk vibe going on. And it's clear for me when I consider that, when I listen to these first two songs in consideration to Led Zeppelin 3. And you've got that pensive, reflective mood from the first two songs. But the third song, Over the Hills, gives you a completely different perspective when you hear it. Instead of, you know, reflecting and absorbing the sunlight from the walk, you're actually walking down the road and you're kicking a couple of cans. You're kicking a couple of letter boxes over, you know. It's a different kind of vibe. Look, I love it. I think it's a great song. The first three songs on this album are remarkable. Over the Hills and Far Away is a classic rock and roll song. I wouldn't skip the first three songs on this album ever. I'm going to pass it on to my co-hosts, and I'm going to ask them for their opinions. Brad.
All right. Well, Over the Hills and Far Away, that little acoustic intro is fantastic. It's doubled again on the second pass through with a 12-string acoustic as well. So there's two guitars playing that. That's another wonderful vocal from Robert, and it highlights his vocal ability and lyric writing. I mean, I can't sort of stress enough, by this point he'd become very pivotal as a lyricist, and a lot of people around this time were listening to Zeppelin and really getting involved in the lyrical content. There was a lot of mystique about the band. Everyone wanted to know what was going on, and I think Robert embraced that with his vocals, lyrics, and there is some amazing accents in this song. The song kicks into gear, obviously, through the verses. I love the doubled guitar lines, the 12-string and the electric 6-string. The bass and drums are just fantastic about this song, and I'm going to repeat this a lot because it just highlights how good John Bonham and John Paul Jones were as a rhythm section. They were, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest rhythm sections of all time. And you know, it's hard to argue that. Really, it's hard to argue that. The guitar solo, to me, it's Jimmy Page just hanging on the rails. He never falls off. You know, he's just. I love the rhythm guitar underneath his solo as well. It's got that sort of swagger to it. It's very very cool. and it ends with that doubled run with the bass guitar playing the same run as well, and a harmony guitar overdub. So that's very clever the way they wrote that part, and it's over the top of a straight drum beat. So if you listen to it, it's very similar to like what happens in Black Dog. It goes out of time and then comes back onto time at the end of the bar. So I don't know if you guys have picked that up, but that, you know, the part I'm talking about at the end of the solo where the guitar is playing the drums with the bass, it goes out of time and comes into time just because it's the way the riff runs.
A bit like Black Dog.
A bit like Black Dog and like Achilles' Last Stand, the runs in Achilles' Last Stand. They did that a lot throughout their career, and this song was that.
It's brilliant, isn't it? That?
Oh, phenomenal. This song again is like another journey. I love the outro vocal as it fades out with the delay while the reversed reverb effect on the outro guitar is being played. It's phenomenal. For me, 20 out of 10, never a skip. Simon.
Yeah, agreed. I posed the question really. Did Led Zeppelin invent the loud and quiet thing? You know, that Nirvana, the Pixies, and all those sort of 90s grunge bands made. You know, did they invent the loud and quiet? Because this is a classic loud and quiet. It starts off gently, and then it's da 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 da. You know, and then it's quiet again. And I just wonder. I'm sure he didn't, but I love the dynamics of that. I think that's fantastic, juxtaposing those two things, the quiet bits and the loud bits. I think that's Jimmy Page. One of his fortes is to understand dynamics in a song. You know, play loud, play quiet, play bit, play a lot, play. You know, I always feel with the records, absolutely, that he never wastes things. Jimmy Page, does he? You know, it's never wasted. It's never needless, and it's never wasted. Do you think everything has its place, has a part? Every the guitars he does do something in a way that, you know, is not superfluous and it is integral to the way the songs are built, their dynamics, and the way that they work. And I think it's hugely impressive. You know that remember. You know, I say this a lot on this show, but you know, he's like 28 years old, Jimmy Page. You know, he's not even 30, and and yet he's on 5 hours and countless sessions, and he clearly learned all this stuff in the session work that he did. But it's still. You know, the way that he understands how these things work, I think is what make these records so great. You know, that ability to know what he's doing, you know, and clearly he's in charge of, you know, the production and things, and you know, and how they work, what's in them and things. And you know, this song is no different, you know. And it's interesting that we're drawing the parallels with Led Zeppelin 3, or I have, you know, because this was written in 1970. You know, when they were doing at Bronnior, the cottage in Wales, where they went to write stuff for Led Zeppelin 3, make it Led Zeppelin 3, but you know, it was clearly something that they thing. And you know, it apparently evolved from a Yardbird song called White Summer, White Summer and Black Mountainside, which Page did, and. So yeah, I mean, again, it's another 10 out of 10 for me. I would never skip this. I think it's, you know, it's another. If you think about it, you look at Led Zeppelin records and you go, well, the first 3 songs are just 10s, you know. And we do Physical Graffiti is the same, isn't it? The first 3 songs are just like you can't possibly skip them because they're just fantastic. They're fantastic in their own right. They run together beautifully. You know, they all work as songs. I like, you know, it's fantastic funky drumming from John Bonham in it, and I love the way that the verses, you know, the chords under the solo are slightly different, you know, and it's all changing. It's all kind of, you know, moving it about and things. And as you said, Brad, the bass following the guitar riff near the end of stuff, it's just, you know, brilliant piece of arranging. So again, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 and never a skip from me. I think it's a fantastic opening 3 tracks, and it's brilliant.
Awesome. So I have to interrupt this broadcast to announce something live. It's not often we have little highlights for this channel that we can do live other than our streams, but well done, everybody. Thank you for supporting the channel. We've just hit over 600 subscribers. And,
thank you so much, whoever subscribed. That's brilliant.
There he is there. Warren has been flexing his RoboCop position amongst the students.
Well done, Warren.
Warren
The big stick of
RoboCop
Warren.
Graham.
The big stick of Warren.
Hey, look, it's a famous line in blues songs, you know, the big dog, you know, there's the big dog.
Shh. No dog bigger than Warren. What?
No. Look, thank you very much, everybody. We know that everybody here in the chat has been active in pushing our channel with their friends. We know that, but our channel wouldn't be anything without obviously you guys participating. Want to do a special shout out to Hack. Haven't seen you, bro, for a long time in our chat.
Hack.
Very good friend of the channel. Congratulations, bro, on your channel. Love your channel. Love what you do. Keep up the good work, brother. And your special little video that you did a while ago about your message was received. And yeah, we just we need to look after each other. And one of the great things about YouTube channels and our community is that we participate in that looking after aspect. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys, for the
yeah, brilliant.
The subscriptions, and you know, we're just trying to do the best we can here, and we appreciate you guys subscribing. So thank you very much.
No problem. Awesome. Thank you guys for that input. Yeah. And I tried. No one got my comment. I tried to go and I knew Brad's. I know Brad's got a Led Zeppelin t-shirt because we've done Led Zeppelin shows before. So I thought, I'll go and get the Led Zeppelin t-shirt. But guess what? They only had girls' t-shirts. So I thought maybe what I'd do is I'd
you
try
bought
and
a
do
girls' t-shirt?
No, I thought I'd do a Robert Plant. Because but that, oh no, that just didn't work either.
Shimmy into it. Shimmy into a girl's. Come on.
Interesting about that though, because there's a couple of pictures there. Hold on. We're just going to go down a track here. Just hold on. I'm going to just throw something up here because this is something that I got from. So look at Robert Plant there. Okay, so it's quite interesting because I didn't realize this. I was watching a Johnny Bean show, and apparently a lot of these guys in the late 60s and early 70s actually used to wear women's clothes.
Yep.
Yeah. And I didn't know that. I thought maybe something like that was custom. But, there's a classic example of, because they just wanted to have something a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, chief amongst that is, was it on David Bowie, isn't it? On The Man Who Sold the World, is it? Yeah, he wears a dress. Yeah.
Well, that's obvious. See, yeah, that's that's But interesting. Interesting. Okay, back to the tracks, guys. Hold on. Now, Brad hit the nail on the head earlier. He said something about Led Zeppelin. This band, Led Zeppelin, and the rhythm section, a drummer and a bass player, could be the best. Could be the best rhythm section, arguably, in the world. Look, I'm not going to argue against that because there's enough proof to say that they are and should always be considered a prime candidate to be in that camp. And this song certainly indicates and proves that they are one of the best rhythm sections. For pure rhythmic complexity, the grunge is a song that indicates the complexity of music and how they're not frightened to present that to not only themselves as musicians but also to their fans. Apparently, the song was composed in the studio, which is really, really interesting. I don't know how many songs they actually did in the studio. I always was under the impression they did stuff and came and sort of polished it in the studio. I'm sure my co-host will have something to talk about that. That James Brown funk that's going on is clear. Obviously, that's an important part of the music vibe that was happening. So even a band like Led Zeppelin is soaking that inspiration in. You've got Page playing tight syncopated rhythms. You've got Plant telling his friends, about some girl down at the pub. You've got that active bass line. It's just phenomenal. Never liked this song when I first had this album when I was a young guy. Would often skip this song because it was doing something that I wasn't really interested in listening to at the time. But look, I love the song. It's a 9 out of 10. It's never a skip. And I'm going to pass it on to Brad.
That's a good score. Look, The Crunch, this song was born from a jam in Stargroves, which is Mick Jagger's mansion. They jammed on it. They just started, basically Bonham started playing the drumming and Jonesy just followed in with that descending bass line. Pagey just locked in some rhythm guitar. Page has been quoted as saying he had a rhythm sort of guitar idea similar, so he just applied that. Apparently it refers to like a dance move that they were actually going to put the dance move instructions on the album cover, but they decided not to do it for some reason or another.
I think logistically it was difficult, but
yeah. Look, it highlights their love for Motown, soul, and funk without a doubt. There's even a James Brown reference in the song. Bonham's intro is it's like a 9/8 feel apparently, and Bonham wanted to do a beat that no one could dance to. That he just was like, I'm going to do a beat that no one can dance to, just because he could,
And then do dance steps for it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And the feel was accented obviously by John Paul Jones' like amazing bass playing and the rhythm guitar. Robert's voice is strange, but it sounds like he's putting on a voice for the song, which is perfect for the vibe of the song. Like I said, it's stemmed from a jam. It can actually be heard on How the West Was Won in one of the jams. I think it's in Dazed and Confused. I could be incorrect there, but I'm pretty sure it was Dazed and Confused. I didn't have time to go back and check it, but they
jam it a bit, yeah.
So they came out of that. There's a Mellotron effect over the top. Jimmy Page is playing a Sunburst 1957 Fender Strat, and look, this song was known to be one of the band's least favorite songs, but I love it. I gave it 20 out of 10. I love the feel of the song. The whole thing for me, it just highlights the diversity of the band.
And that's really the point, isn't it? The point about this is that it's a diversity. It's nothing else. Anything else? It's a change of atmosphere, of dynamic. And I've talked a lot about that. I talk about a lot of that with Jimmy Page, and this clearly is something different to what's gone before, and I think that's important to Page, that it's not the same thing. Again, it's something else. I think it's very much a kind of lighter track. It's clearly a bit more jokey, where with Robert Plant at the end going, "Take me to the bridge. Where is the bridge?" And all of that stuff,
That's the James Brown reference.
Spoofing off the James Brown thing. Yeah. But in a very English way, which is just funny, really. It's just, you can tell it's a kind of band joke kind of thing that would go well. I agree with you. I mean, it's a showcase for the rhythm section. Jones and Bonham, fantastic. And that, there is nobody better drummer than you. You can be different, but there's nobody better than John Bonham, as far as I'm concerned, in the drum world. There are a lot of different drummers, and they're as good, in their own different ways, but nobody better. I think. I gave this probably an 8 out of 10. I think it's a bit lighter for me, not quite as serious, not quite as epic as the other songs, but I would never skip it. In the context of the album, the end of side 1, I think it does its job really well. As I say, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10, a bit lighter, but it's
Yep. I'm digging your score, Simon. Yeah, and I could understand why Brad has also given it such a high
Oh, yeah.
score too. And I can understand that, but that's one of the great things about the three of us offering scores. Sometimes we're going to be a couple of points difference. Dancing Days. So it's centered on a riff that comes in right from the start. But again, what's really interesting with Page is that he's playing some blues notes there, but playing off the scale again, which is one of the great things about Jimmy Page. He knows all the patterns, he knows all the scales, but he'll just throw something in that only Jimmy Page can do. And I think that's one of the reasons why we like him. That drone-like layer that sits on the riff is fantastic. What's really interesting about the song too is that it's the foundation of the song is based on chords, not single note riffs, which is normally something that you would expect or associate with a riff with Led Zeppelin. I love the song. It's a 10 out of 10, and never a skip.
Morning, Mr. Bean.
Hey, Daddy Bean.
I love how you're playing on that now, Simon. Andrew, I love how you're playing on that. Never skip.
Never skip.
Oh,
Brad.
geez. Here we go. The rat bags are here.
DVD.
Day.
So Dancing Days, we know, like I said before, they got banned from Singapore in 1972 because their hair was too long. So they took that opportunity to spend some time in India and specifically in Bombay. And Jimmy Page and Robert Plant heard a tune that stuck in their minds, and this was the influence behind this song. So it's a great opener for the side 2. It's got a real Indian feel to the riff. The guitar tuning's in open G, I believe, which is from low to high D, G, D, G, B, D. And the riff is doubled to add weight. There's 2 guitars in stereo answering and another overdub slide, which I think totals 5 overdub guitars on this particular track. So that's why it's got a lot of droning stuff going on. There's some fantastic feel on the drums. The vocal delivery is great, and lyrically it's great as well. The bass playing is right in the pocket. Page's guitar overdubs during the verses are catchy. They're, in my opinion, they're just perfect for the song. The Mellotron is another overdub that just lifts the song again. And the solo has 2 double tracks, more of a melody type solo than a solo, probably because it was in an open tuning. One of the songs that the band were most pleased with, and it's probably one of my favorites as well. It's another fine guitar arrangement, and I gave it 20 out of 10.
Ooh, Simon.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's again another example of Page's production ability and his be able to put together what they discovered in India, put it into a song, take the tuning. I know it's really always very interesting. Yeah, sleep well, Hack. It's I think that as you say, to kind of it's a sort of bright, airy, summery song, isn't it? Kind of thing, with it's got slide guitar in it. It's just got those weird guitar sounds, and it clearly overdubs in it and things, which I think, to say, mark Jimmy Page out as the hallmark of what he does so well. And apparently when they recorded it, the band, they were so pleased they ran out on the lawn of Stargrouse and danced to it, hence its name. So I agree. It's a 10 out of 10, and is a fantastic opener to side 2, and shows a bit of a lighter side, and I'm all for it.
Awesome. All right, the next song, Dire Maker. So to Led Zeppelin's credit, they jumped on the reggae bandwagon at least a year before Eric Clapton released his version of Bob Marley's "I Shot the Sheriff." But to their discredit, they play reggae just a little bit too heavy. It's just too heavy. It's not light as it should be played. I've had a love-hate relationship, guys, with this song over the years. When I first heard this song, I was blown away by it because it was just so unlike anything else that I heard in relation to Led Zeppelin. And bear in mind, my Led Zeppelin listening had been, the song remains the same, the soundtrack, and Led Zeppelin 1. So buying this album and listening to this album after those two albums, it was like, holy cow! I kind of liked it, kind of dug it, because this was the early 1980s when Bob Marley, "Could You Be Loved," UB40 were on the, so listening to that kind of music was always, not too foreign for me. But I'm going to have to tell you guys, over the years, I'm going to be a little bit harsh on this song. I think it's out of place. It's out of place on the album. Interestingly enough, the album did pretty well on the American charts. Apparently, I think it it got to the top 20 in '73. So that's interesting. Look, I'm going to give this song, guys, a 6 out of 10. It's a sometimes skip. And it's certainly a song that I would never play to.
Yes, he's put himself into timeout. Quite right. You have dared to transgress the written law.
That's better. You're in the corner.
The Electric Blue Show by criticizing Led Zeppelin, not giving them a 12. Therefore, you will stand in the corner for 2 minutes.
You'll stand in the north corner
for 2 minutes.
And it's certainly a song that I'd never play to anybody who was going to invade New Zealand from Mars, and they said, "Earthling, play good music."
What, in preference to anywhere else they might invade? We go to New Zealand first.
Well, you don't know. Everybody else wants to bloody come here.
Oh dear.
No, seriously, guys, it's 6 out of 10.
That's fair.
And I'll back it up with some seriousness. You know how we like to talk about sometimes we can see how a song can fit into the context of an album, even though we may have given it a lower score, and we still appreciate it. I'm going to say that I still can't see how this song fits into the context of the album. So I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say, obviously, and everyone else in the chat. 6 out of 10. I'm firm on that, and sometimes skip. Brad.
All right. Well, I'm going to try and lift the standard of the show a bit and give it a bit of rating. I have to do some recovery work here for the channel. All right. So, look, thunderous drum intro. It's one of the most sampled drum beats of all time. Bonham's laying down like an infectious beat. It's captured with only 3 mics. Think about that.
Fantastic, isn't it? Yeah.
Doing the recording, 3 mics, 1 in front of the kick drum and 2 overheads. And it sounds phenomenal. Like I said before, a lot of bands will put 20-odd mics or more on a drum kit. So it originated from a jam at Stargroves in Vegas Place. The bass is playing off the drums right in the pocket with some really muted palm muted technique, which is really cool. The guitar is colorful. The guitar tracking is great. I think Robert's vocal delivery is heartfelt and wonderful in this. The solo is fantastic. There's just like a really sort of hanging off there on the rails, again, ready to come off, but he just stays on there. There's some nice piano panned on the left side for an extra bit of color. I think it's a catchy song, and I think for the flow of the record, I'm going to go against the grain of what Andrew said here. It puts a bit of color into the flow of the record. I actually like where it's positioned, because the next song that precedes it is a very moody, darker sort of energy song. So I especially love the drum fill at the end of the guitar solo. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I gave it 20 out of 10.
Look at that. Opposing views. Fantastic.
Do I need to go in timeout for giving it a 20 out of 10?
No.
No.
Nobody. Andrew Scroby's going out like a Led Zeppelin. Brilliantly done. Deja vu. That's fantastic. So, well, the first thing I said is, the first thing I always liked this song. I did always like it. You know, it's like one of those things. It's like I get where Andrew's coming from, but I always really liked it as a thing. I think because it has that reggae thing, but also it has that Benny King thing, doesn't it? It's that C, A minor, F, G thing, which is that 50s rock and roll doo-wop thing, which is very much in the heritage, you know, in the DNA of Led Zeppelin. And so I think that I always liked it for that, because I just did. And of course, I also like the fact that it's a joke. The title's a joke. You know, it's the old. My wife's gone on holiday to the West Indies. Jamaica? No, she went of her own accord. Thank you very much. Here all week. Look at that. Well, yes, that's the joke, you see. And of course, that used to be a joke then. And I love a good pun. You know, I love a play on words. So it gets so it's bigger than that. I always loved it. I think that the brilliant bit, it combines that reggae and that kind of 50s rock and roll thing, you know, the Benny King R&B thing really well. I think that I don't know what Andrew means. The drums are huge for a, you know, and you think but they're John Bonham, and that's what happens when you've got John Bonham in the band. I think I like the solo. It's really melodic. You know, and it really fits the song, and it kind of, you know, it's not too long. It just does what it's supposed to do. It's a really kind of melodic thing, and so I, you know, and at the end you've got the piano playing as well. Got the piano at the end instead of. I understand what Andrew. See, I'm in the middle. I'm doing this an 8 out of 10. I'm not going nuts with it. I think it is it is something that can polarize, you know, people, and people may not necessarily like it or get it, or, you know, and sometimes it would be a skip for some people, absolutely, you know, and I completely understand how that's the case.
It's just what an Australian and a New Zealander needs is an Englishman to be diplomatic between the
diplomatic
two
in the middle. Thank you very much. That's me. Surprisingly diplomacy. Well, it's I'm giving an 8, but I've always really liked it as a song. I've always really liked it. Yeah.
Look. I dig exactly where you guys are coming from, and it's interesting because the Pride of Gothenburg said, you know, it's the diversity, and I know what he's saying about the album, and that's what gives, you know, albums the color and its texture, you know, that we like to talk about. But I, you know, look, and I'm not disputing that, but I just find this song just a little bit off center from the album. But that's okay. That's all right. I'm still. Can I come back next week? Do I still have a job here?
Don't worry. You can come back next week. We have a special treat for you for next week.
And one of the comments. Here we go. Oh gosh, I'm talking so much that. Here we go. Look there. Oh, it's on the screen. I already had it on the screen. Brad obviously doesn't have a favorite song on this record because everything is 20.
Do you get the impression Brad likes his record?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to try not to talk too much about the next song because, again, I want to give you guys some room to talk.
Talk
and
away.
although we know that John Paul Jones has played keyboards on other songs, we know that, clearly he has. It's not until this song where the keyboards come from being a support role to a lot of songs to the forefront of a song. And at least that's partly due, at least with this song, to that new technology, and they had enough money obviously to pay for it to get that machine. And I'm just going to, before I continue, I'm going to throw a picture up. This is the machine.
Oh, look. My dad's, there we are, look, see. Turn it around that way. They are.
Yep.
VCS3. Because my dad used to own the company.
Yeah. So, and you had to have some money, obviously, to get that machine, because, at that time, even now, they're not cheap. But at the top of the show, we spoke about also John Paul Jones' musical talent, but he also clearly, as Simon will back me up on, programming and playing something like that machine takes another level of intelligence and intellect. So he certainly did that hard work, and we have a haunting riff.
It was £350 when it came out. Now, if you want to buy one now, it's going to cost you. There's one on Reverb for 16 grand.
Wow.
Or 20. So
yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
It's okay. So it's built on recording studios in their respective homes, which is really good. So it's a great example of. And I think what our co-host mentioned, that Page had a studio, Plant had a studio, and obviously John Paul Jones was recording somewhere. I think the song is remarkable. But I'm going to back up this remarkable aspect and opinion on this song by saying the live version. And sometimes we like to talk about the parallels of live versions being better than some recorded versions. And I'd again be interested to see what my co-hosts and you cats in the chat have to say. As much as I love this version, the live version is just wow.
Yes.
Wow. I just think the live version is just probably the definitive version. And yeah, I'm going to give it a Brad score. I'm going to give this a 20 out of 10. Hashtag Brad score. And if there are two songs on this album that have paid for your entry into the Led Zeppelin club, and two songs that you have to listen, it's the song remains the same and No Quarter. Brad.
Wow, I totally agree on everything you said there. So you're out of the naughty corner. That's fine.
Thank you.
Look,
I get to come back next week.
You get to come back next week, mate. You're back. You're out for a little bit, but you're back. I agree. Deviating a little bit away from what I'm going to talk about, the song remains the same. Version of No Quarter is my favorite version of this song. Yeah, but I love hearing recorded music, and I love hearing the orchestration in recorded music as well.
Yep.
And there's something really, really special about this recording, the way they've done it. It's so delicate. It sets a mood. It's heavily influenced by John Paul Jones, obviously. He's the main songwriter in the song. For me, it's an extremely high point in his career, John Paul Jones. Highlights his skills as an arranger, as a composer, and a multi-instrumentalist. Probably one of my favorite on the record, without a doubt. The keyboards are beautiful. There's a trippy vibe going on. Beautiful electric piano opening the song. some colourful, cleaner guitar chords. I mean, they're really lush. They're really clean. The drums sound tighter on this song. They're not as big sounding, but they still sound great. When I say not as big, I mean they just don't sound so roomy. They're a bit tighter in sound. And obviously, when they come in, it's got that Bonham sort of feel to it. The verses come in, and there's that syncopated feel from Bonham, and it's just amazing how he actually always found that right feel. For example, on the drums for the song, and that just goes to show he was an integral part of the songwriting as well. He might not have got a songwriting credit on it, but that drumming in this song for me is a massive part of this song. So really probably should have got songwriting credits for this. The guitar line doubling the keyboard and the bass lines, I believe that was done with a direct input Les Paul instead of through an amp. So they ordered it through a direct input.
Through the disc?
Yeah,
yes,
DI.
like they did on Black Dog. So they that fuzzier sort of direct transistory sort of tone that they got from the desk. The piano solo is beautiful. The way the drums come in, it's beautiful, and the guitar solo in that section, Page is playing some jazzy fusiony style licks. He had some great double guitar sections halfway through the solo. Sounds like there's a theremin in the background doing the woo, those sort of things that he does live on stage during the solo and throughout the song. Really need to listen to this song in the dark or in headphones and just focus on nothing else but the song. The outro ad-lib vocals and triplets on the drums are just that Bonham feel. Just it's so hard for drummers to replicate that. It was just something he had. His triplets and everything that he used were signature for him. I've had demos of this song when they were doing the basic tracks to it. I've got some demos of this, and some of them were on the re-release, which you've got there, Simon, as well. And I've always thought they sounded amazing just as a three-piece without the overdubs, the way they recorded them then. This song for me is, again, it's a highlight when it comes to composing a song with the multi-instrument take on it, with the keyboards, the syncopation in the drums, everything like that. 20 out of 10 for me. I could talk about it for another 2 hours. 20 out of 10, and I'll pass it on to Simon. And it is, like you said, Andrew, it's, song remains the same. And this song, you could almost, like, if you're going to play two songs from this record for someone to listen to, they're the two that you would go, here's what this record's about.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, completely. I completely agree with everything you said. I think, it's an amazing. The keyboards are amazing. I love that. The sound of that riff, that Jimmy Page, it fits with the keyboard so well.
Sure does.
Kind of that swirly sound that fits with it's like he just hasn't turned up and he's thought of what's going to fit with that, what sound will fit with it, and then he's chosen.
Sneaks up on you,
doesn't it? And it's a beautiful kind of you could see the thought that's in there, and kind of which I love a lot. And I think that I love the keyboards. I think the keyboard playing is fantastic. I love the piano bit in the middle. Reminds me of I don't know if this will mean anything to anybody else at all. It always reminds me of a man called Keith Jarrett. Does anyone know who Keith Jarrett is? If you don't know who he is, he's a jazz pianist. He's a jazz pianist who does a lot of kind of like his classic album is called Live from Coln, Koln. If anyone's into jazz piano, improvised jazz piano, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But it has that kind of piano. It always reminds me of that. John Paul Jones is playing. I don't know, it's earlier than the Coln concert, but love it. I love that. As you say, Brad, I love the kind of the jazzy guitar solo as well. that Page plays. You know, it's not doing the blues licks and stuff. It's doing something different. So I mean, to me, this is probably the masterpiece of the album for me, and it's a 100 out of 10.
Oh,
yes, it's that there is no score big enough to get. I mean, I love this track, and I remember, I taped on my little tape recorder to carry it around. And you know, you're right, in the dark. You know, I've talked about Pink Floyd in the dark, lying on the parapet. You know, 5 floors up. And looking at the stars. This is another one of those songs where you lie out on the parapet and looked at the stars, and kind of, you know, were drawn into that kind of, you know, that, you know, with the mists and the moors and the, you know, some sort of mystical things going. Fantastic, you know. And I think atmospheric. It's a brilliant song. As I say, 100 out of 10. Hashtag.
It's I just want. It's interesting that we both, all three of us, I should say, love this song, because the first time I heard this song, my cousin, my auntie and uncle were stationed in Singapore. My uncle Tom was in the New Zealand Navy, and they were stationed in Singapore for 2 years. And anyway, they came back, and it was Christmas time, and my cousin Carl, who's passed away now, had some cassettes, and he had a Walkman, and he said, "Listen to this." So we were staying at my nana's house, in the lounge, and everyone was asleep, and we were smoking Rothmans. I just started smoking, and I was getting dizzy.
Is that a euphemism? Smoking Rothmans.
I was getting dizzy on the nicotine, and I remember my cousin putting this song on, off the Song Remains the Same, going, wow. Yeah. I just, you know, that the way that guitar comes in, Simon and Brad, it's just, it's remarkable, you know. Oh,
it's fantastic, isn't it?
The live version, I love his use of the wah pedal in the live version, on the riff, and this solo Jimmy Page plays in the Song Remains the Same version at Madison Square Garden is somewhat epic.
Yeah.
Some of those runs he plays, and the flavor he puts in the melodic feel he puts in the runs, and the flavor he puts on that. You know, after our show, of course, do yourself a favor, go put Song Remains the Same on and listen to No Quarter.
Yeah. I think that I like. In fact, this is in Wikipedia, so it's Rick Rubin, the record producer, said about it. He said, "It takes such confidence to be able to get really quiet and loose for such a long time." You know,
wow.
And you know, and I think he's right. Led Zeppelin completely changed how we look at what popular music can be, which is an interesting quote. I think, you know, I'd agree that is the thing, isn't it? The confidence, the belief that knowing what you're doing and understanding what you're doing, and be able to put that song to, you know, and just have that keyboard thing, you know, at the front, and just, you know, have, I don't know how many minutes it is, but, you know, just on its own before you come in, just having the confidence, not just doing it once. You're going to do a whole section, and it's going to be that, and we're going to stretch out, and it's going to be great. And you just, you know, you've got the vision and to be able to hear it, visualize hearing. And I think that for me is whatever. And that's what I love about Jimmy Page. I love the fact that, you know, that confidence, that absolute confidence, that kind of like, you know, I know where I'm going, know what I'm doing, I understand how this is going to work, and I'm going to produce something brilliant. And he does. And, you know, or they do as a band, but, you know, as a producer. So, yeah, that's why I think it's a masterpiece. Many reasons.
No argument. Okay, so let me get my notes here ready. We've done 4 already, but now we're steady. And they went 1, 2, 3, 4. In that gruff Midland accent.
Black country. Great.
Oh. Okay, so we've all come down now. We're all back on Earth. we've just spoken and shared our experiences with No Quarter. And how do you back No Quarter up? Just they could have ended the album there. They could have, but they had to do something completely different. And man, they were either going to hit an iceberg and sink the album, or they were going to latch on to Space Shuttle Columbia and just take this album out to Mars and say this is a definitive rock and roll album. The Ocean, I can't talk about the song other than it's just that riff-based tradition of Black Dog and Good Time. This is everything that Led Zeppelin were in their previous albums, but it's not blues-based. But there's enough there for us to come back and anchor on and say, yeah, we've just listened to a great Led Zeppelin album. I've got some notes here, but I'm going to just interject later on, and I'm going to pass it on to Brad and Simon because they can talk so much more eloquently about the song other than me going, oh.
Speaks volumes. That speaks volumes, Andrew.
But before I do pass it on to Brad, I think that's Simon's first ever stratosphere marking. I'm pretty sure. I can't ever recall Simon ever giving it 100 out of 10.
No.
I can't remember any songs. So this is we've got history here, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm proud of you, Simon. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I'm going to give this song. I've got a Brad score the song too, but for everything that's not associated to all the other things that we spoke about, this song is quintessential Led Zeppelin in my ears, without going into the areas that these other songs that we've just spoken about are taking Led Zeppelin. It's kind of metaphysical for me sometimes, so I'm just going to shut up and pass it on to Brad and Simon.
Just in reference to that intro where John Bonham says, "We've done We've done 4 already, but what is it? And now we're steady." And then they went 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Jimmy Page. This is what he said. He said he would get drunk and start singing things like what you hear at the beginning of The Ocean. So he just drunk. Yeah. All right, let's go, man. Let's.
Yeah. And we know exactly because we know cats who would have. We know it.
Yeah. So
and they're band jokes, aren't they? It's just kind of band joke thing, isn't it?
And I really wanted to highlight that because the energy of this song is got a very party element to it. It's got that fun element to it. Man, if John Bonham is drunk, he's playing phenomenal. And obviously, when he says we've done 4 already, when he goes we've done 4 already, he's referring to the amount of takes that are done on this song. Apparently, it was noted that it took him a few takes to get the feel right on the drums. But as soon as he captured the riff and understood where the riff was going, that was it. He was locked in it. Eddie Kramer said that basically by the 4th take, he was all over the guitar riff. He knew what to play, but it took him 1 or 2 takes to get that right. Apparently, he just couldn't get the feel of the riff. But once he got it, that was it, and he was relentless. And one of the things that Kramer noted was how amazing this band was when that came to recording, how phenomenal. He goes, they'd be in the engineering it, and they'd be listening and just shaking their head laughing in pure amazement at how good they were. So,
wow.
So the feel has a 4/4 feel, and there's a 7/8 feel in the song as well. The song blasts in with that riff after the little John Bonham intro. The drums are slamming. They're syncopated with the riff as well. Great vocal delivery from Robert Plant. Lyrics again are great. And this album proves that Robert really was a lyricist and was amazing in his own right. The solo, it's got a nasal sort of bluesy vibe. The chords working together after the solo, you know, the part where it's that section there is use of inversion chords, and he even come up with a little harmony section there for that with the inversions, which is really cool. The breakdown highlights some great harmonies with the na-na section. I don't know if you guys picked that up. There's some really cool harmonies there. Then it's like it hits like a section where they just go instantly into like a rock and roll feel. It's got like a, you know, you could picture like a rock and roll feel. It's got a real Elvis Presley vibe to me. You know, I can hear, and obviously a lot of Jimmy Page's solos, one of his biggest influences on guitar was Scotty Moore from Elvis Presley's band. So you can hear a lot of those licks in the outro part of this song. And I could go on about this song and this album forever. I love it. It's a 20 out of 10. I mean, it's just what has to say about this song.
Singing in the sunshine, laughing in the rain.
The guitar riff alone in this song is fantastic and fun to play on guitar. You know, it highlights so many really amazing things on guitar in this one song. Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just one riff, is it? It's one riff for a bit, and then one riff is up in something else, equally good, equally, you know, inspiring. You know, and absolutely, I you know, echo everything you said with that. I love the I love the confidence to just drop everything out and just have vocals. You know, that's confidence. I love the 4/4 bit, you know, that really swings. You know, if you want to know what swing is, that's what swinging is. You know, and I love the fact that they just go back, they transition back and forth between the riff, you know, and they do it effortlessly. If it's, you know, if it's like it's, you know, pedaling a bike, it's just, and I swear to God, it's not that easy, and it just is. You know, Bonham absolutely. You know, manages those transitions and does them just brilliantly. And the rest of the band, you know, yeah. I mean, it's a 20 out of 10 for me. And, you know, I wouldn't even contemplate skipping it. I think it's one of really great Led Zeppelin song. You know, they're an amazing band to me. You know, those albums, all of, you know, pretty much all of them up to present, I think you know, are fantastic records. You know, they have so much in them, so many different things, so many different elements, so many directions that they go in. They don't care if it's off here or over there, or, you know, everything is done with tremendous confidence, tremendous musicality. I think Page doesn't, you know, there's no superfluous. I'm not to add this about Physical Graffiti. I think it's true. There's no superfluous, you know, noodling about with Page. It is focused, organized. You know, and he knows what the parts are, and he knows, you know, how long they should go on for, what they should do, and so, which I think is just massively impressive. You know, when you hear so much that doesn't quite do that, it's or not in the same way. But you know, yes.
A little fun fact here that I'm just trying to. Now I'm singing all my songs to the girl who won my heart. She is only 3 years old,
yes,
and it's a real fine way to start. So apparently, every year when they played the song live, Page changed the age to reflect the age of the birthdays of his daughter. So it's quite a cool little thing. But I agree with what Brad said too about, you know, no warning. We get that dance groove straight out of 1958, you know, Cliff Gallup, the guitarist from Gene Vincent, Scotty Moore.
Gallup.
Yes. Yeah. You know, and it's just like, you know, and again, it's just these guys paying homage, Brad and Simon, to where they came from. And you know, because we know that they've done that with the blues stuff, but, you know, putting that in, just another little tilt, another little nod to another tradition that inspired them.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. We've lost Simon.
That's okay. He'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah, look, what an album.
Woo.
Sort of, listening to this record all week,
Hey, Brooks.
one of my son's favorite bands and one of his favorite albums as well. But it's just one of those albums that you can't get enough of, in my opinion. It's just phenomenal. I mean, I was just listening to No Quarter just before we come on here as I was driving back with my son in the car, and he was listening to it, and we're in the zone. We're just listening to it. It's phenomenal. And he's a 13-year-old boy, and he's into Led Zeppelin, and it's like mystical and mythical for him. So it just goes to show younger generations still get it. They still understand it.
Have you got a copy of The Lord of the Rings? Has he read in a copy of that? Because if he's a Led Zeppelin nut, mate, you got to give him that. He's got to learn to read that.
Definitely, he'll get into that I'll let him watch the movie as well soon when he gets a little bit older.
All of them, yes. 9 million years epics.
I wanted to quickly show 2 classic photos that in this book.
Hold on, bro.
Present me there. That's epic. That's a really good one of the 3 of them. Like the 3 instrumentalists, that would be probably, around that era, that Madison Square Gardens era. I don't know exactly where that is, but I could find out in a sec. That's a really cool one. And then this is probably the same era. The 2 front.
Wow.
And they did work as a pair, when it came to being front people.
Yep.
Look how, but in that picture, they're all 4 of them, including the drums, are all in that picture. So however big the stage is, actually they're, round the drum kit, and it could be, the actual room they need to play is, a 16th the size of the stage they're probably on.
I mean, they were a band that were, that like John Paul Jones would end up sort of right up next to the drum kit during a gig instead of up, because they used to say to him, "Come up the front, mate. Come up the front," like Rob and Jimmy. But he would always start there and then end up like Rock and Roll would start, and then by the 3rd song or 2nd song, he'd be back right next to the drum kit. And there's some phenomenal footage of John Paul Jones and John Bonham in Dazed and Confused and in those jam sections where they're playing so close together, and Bonham shakes his head at him like, "No, not yet," and things like that. Just amazing. And probably one of my favorite pictures, which I wish I could find this in a damn frame.
Wow.
You showed this before, I think, Andrew, but I just want to say that I just used to look at that and just go, man, that's just the coolest guitarist in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
And Jimmy Page is
Magic.
one of the reasons
Do you want to do that again? Hold that up again. We'll do magic. See,
Okay, 2 seconds.
I've got that special program. There it is. Wow!
How does he do that?
Wow!
It's magic, kids. It's magic.
So Jimmy Page is one of the reasons I play a Les Paul.
Yeah.
What a fun album.
He's just
What a
one of the
fun album.
reasons. Yeah. It's a fantastic record. Oh man,
Yeah.
glad you chose it. It's been great to listen to it again. I listen to it quite often already, but by the way, I've just found just for completely sake, this is what I was referencing when I was talking about John Paul Jones's piano playing. They are Keith Jarrett at Con concerts. If you like improvised jazz piano, it's a fantastically beautiful thing.
Awesome.
It's a thing. But yeah, I mean, it's on Spotify. You can listen to it on Spotify if you want to go down that.
Awesome. Awesome.
go down that
Hey,
route.
we're not going to release on the Sunday show the albums that we're going to do next week. We're going to release that information on social media. from now on. So
Right,
that's
okay.
how
So
we.
I mustn't say.
No. So what you have to do is, if you on the bottom there, we've got the Instagram accounts. We've got Brad Cook Music, easy at Instagram. Kurt, our co-host from the 51 show, follow Kurt there at Kurt S5150. And then Simon, after he's had another cup of tea, he's going to put on his Instagram account at Simon Williams 33.
Oh,
He's going to put. He's going to
I've got
put
to
a
get the
post up.
technology. You're a beast.
He's going. He's gonna put a post on his account later on today. The album, and we don't know, guys, either. So it's going to be.
They don't.
It's going to be. It's going to be. It's going
Surprise.
to be. Yeah. But
All right.
yeah. What do you reckon, guys? I think we should do that. That's going to at least get Simon and that bloody Instagram account of his going. One poster a month.
I'm so sorry. I know. I'm rubbish at it.
Hey, I just want to highlight one of the books that I've got. That's this is for Warren. He's asked about this.
Hold on, bro. Hold on.
And you need to give him any reference you've got. This book
Hold
here.
Hold on, bro. Hold on. Wait. I'll just get rid of that comment. Hold on, and I'll present you so that he can get the titles. Hold on. Is that going to go? Yeah. Okay. There you are. Okay.
So this one, all the songs, if you can find a copy of this, it's in depth, talks about the recordings, what the songs are about. I passed on some information to Andrew about the songs for this album, and I'm sure he found that very useful. But this book in particular is like a Bible when it comes to knowing all about the songs, how they recorded them. As much information as they had when they printed this book is in here. So definitely
Cool.
a good read, and it's a thumper of a book too. It's not a thin one. It's got some fantastic references in there. Like they're from actual sources as well. They aren't just made up. That's a great book. So,
And this is the book that I use, guys. It's an ebook. You can get that a hard copy. Experiencing Led Zeppelin, a listener's companion by Greg Ackerman. So I think, and I know that book that Brad's put up too, because it's got 5-star reviews. So it's the one that Led Zeppelin nuts go to. And I think this is gaining some kind of traction too. You got to be careful because there's a lot of junk out there, isn't there? A lot of junk.
oh, yeah, that's right. You know, look at where the sources of the information come from. You know, that's important, imperative, because some people make up a lot of stuff. And there's some great books, you know, that you can read about that era.
That's a good one as well.
Yeah.
When Giants Walk the Earth by Nick Wall. That's pretty good.
There's another one that I want to. This is a book that I read. Where is it? Sorry, just give me two. You guys have a bit of a chat between you. I'll find it. I haven't got it out on me, but I'll find it and I'll highlight it in a sec. But what a great album to go through, guys. That was phenomenal, and great pick, Andrew. Great pick.
No problem. Always a pleasure. We love doing these shows, and while Brad is doing that, we're up to 600 subscribers, so we'll jump in there. Thank you guys for watching Godfrey Townsend yesterday too. Jeepers, the views that show got. I'm just going to have a look here. So that's on just about 295 views already. So yeah, that was fantastic. We appreciate everyone's support. Hook up to our social media accounts on other platforms too. I'm going to put that up there again, guys. There they are. There's Brad and Simon. Simon promises that he's going to probably do two posts a month. I mean, a week.
I've already done it. I've already done next week's album.
Oh,
James.
okay. Hold on. Oh, gosh. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, okay. We are going to. Where are we? Oh, I've just peed my pants. Oh, I didn't change my undies. I'm not telling you what it is, guys. You got to get there and have a look. I know what we're doing. We're not telling you.
Yeah. I know what I'm listening to all week, and I'm wrapped. That's awesome.
If somebody in the chat wants to tell us because they've gone and had a look, well, you can tell us, but we're not telling you.
This is the other book. Andrew, if you want to highlight me, mate, I'll show you this one. Here's another one by Richard Cole, their road manager.
Oh, yes.
That's a mandatory read. Do not repeat some of the things in this book to your children.
No.
We're a family show, so we're not going to get into it, but that's
Go and read it yourself.
Yes. And keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Definitely keep it to yourself.
That's a mandatory. Mandatory reading for all Zeppelin fans. That's right.
You're getting some requests there, Simon, on your IG.
I've just accepted him.
Okay, so John might be the first person then to tell us in the chat the album that we are reviewing next week. Come on. Come on, somebody get in that Instagram account and tell us. Jeepers, we're not going until someone tells us.
Somebody puts it in the chat.
Warren, you get those books, bro. Get those books. Come and spinner. The good thing with two of those books, at least, they're available on Kindle. If you like Kindle, Kindle's a good, if you can't.
John says, "Thanks, mate. Trini Lopez's greatest hits."
He's gonna fit right into this show, isn't he? With a sense of humour like that, isn't he?
Well
He's
done,
right at home.
That's exactly it, John. Well done. Yes, next week, Trini Lopez's greatest hits.
Yes.
Oh yes.
A great album, Simon. Well done.
Yeah, well, he's the we do a lot about Jimmy Page on here, who is and Eric, and you've got to have the third person in that triumvirate. I mean, Peter Green, not there's four, but we have done nothing on Jeff Beck at all. So from next week we are doing Jeff Beck. We are putting him back on the pedestal.
And it's a great album. It's a great album.
The definitive. It's the definitive.
It's a really interesting record. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Yes, really interesting record.
The singer. Even the singer's not
even
bad.
Even the singer. Not bad. Yeah. Good haircuts.
Even the singer.
He's
well, I can't wait to do that. I'm going to go and listen to that. I look forward to sharing some rankings with that album. Yeah. My mum got me into that album. My mum, I remember when Rod Stewart's in 1979, 78, do you think I'm sexy and you want my money? Come on. It was like,
very good.
On the,
rather too good. Rather bit scary.
And I remember my mum saying to me, "Oh, he used to be a blues singer." And I said, bullshit, Mum." Oh no, I didn't say that, but something like that. and I don't know how, but I she must have got a secondhand copy because we didn't have much money when we were growing up, so it wouldn't have been a new copy. It must have been a secondhand copy. And I remember I came home from school and she said, "Here, listen to this." So this album's very dear to my heart because it was an album that my mum gave me.
I'm going to give a little bit of one of my highlights of that record is the second track. So I'm wrapped up in this. The second track is just such great guitar playing on it. Wow. Yeah. I'm not going to say any more than that, but it's a great record all round. But wow, you know.
Yeah, well, I did. I did a few times do that, Warren. I had the moves, bro, to back it up.
I am getting,
Family show.
I'm getting slightly afraid.
Yeah, I had the patterns to back it up. I had the chords. Anyway.
Oh dear.
I think that album's just about perfect.
Yeah, that's a great Jeff Beck to do. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I think Warren's put something. Yeah, Beck doesn't get enough credit. Yeah, look, no argument. I don't think he gets enough credit.
Absolutely, no.
And incidentally, Jeff Beck is one of Brad's other heroes, guitar players. If you read Slash's book, he goes out of his way to say, no, it wasn't Clapton, it wasn't Peter Green, it wasn't Page. For me, it was Beck.
Jeff Beck. I mean, Jeff Beck's, you know, when I was getting guitar lessons, you know, I was a guitarist. I encourage everyone, I'm going to a bit of a segue here, go to my website and you can read about me, brad-cook.com. Okay, go
Hold
there.
on. Oh, guys, I've even got a banner for that. Where is it? There it is.
So in my bio, I mentioned that I was, you know, I was playing for a while and I ended up going, I need to get some guitar lessons because I can't really get further than where I'm going at this point. So I recruited a guitarist here in Australia called Dave Leslie. You know, I had a bit of a light friendship with him at that point. And one of the guitarists we dove pretty deep into was Jeff Beck. So there's a fair bit of Jeff Beck influence in my guitar playing. Not that I can play like Jeff Beck, but it's there because, you know, we'd go through New Ways Train, and we went through Let Me Love You and songs off Truth as well. So it was this is going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Well, and Godfrey was doing a bit of it last night, wasn't he? He did a bit of
yes.
how to play like Jeff Beck.
Yes, that was amazing.
Yeah. I think he's an extraordinary guitar player, Jeff Beck.
It's remarkable, and you know, very, very influential. You can tell, you know,
completely. Yeah. Yeah. But a maverick at the same time.
I was inspired, and I got off and started playing, you know, a bit of guitar after that, which was great, you know, because I needed some, you know, I needed someone to kick me in the pants a bit because I've been sort of lacking the motivation to pick up the guitar. So it sort of gave me a little bit of inspiration there, which is great. He seemed like such a lovely guy too, humble, and you know, he's had a wonderful career.
Yeah. So good. We're looking forward to that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's a great one, and it keeps in the flow of these, you know, guitarists.
It's electric blues, isn't it? It's British electric blues at the heart of it, and
you know,
it's important.
Clapton, Page, and Beck. I mean, the three in my eyes that were pivotal in this time frame, the music. So, you know,
so that's the album there, guys. Oh, sorry. That's AFL.
I was going to say, that looks like a couple of sportsmen. Don't remember that being on the front page of
just watch your browser there, Andrew. Make sure you keep the other ones closed.
No, nothing like that on my phone, bro. Nothing like that. Nothing like that.
Close your browsers. What?
Yeah, nothing like that, mate. I'm a good boy. There
Turn
it is.
your notifications off.
I can't wait, Simon. Good choice. That's exciting. Exciting album. Look forward to that. I'm going to just say quickly, it's been a great show. Love it when we have a great interaction with cats in the audience. It's just been brilliant. Audience, sorry, the chat. It's just been fantastic. We had about 23, 24 viewers at one stage. We got 18. 13 now.
Fantastic. Yeah.
thank you guys for the subs. Thank you for sharing our channel, and thank you for subscribing to our other media platforms. We all keep in touch. We're a tight community. We share and we help each other and we inspire each other. We are a tight, close community, and you'll notice other people too through Simon's account and Brad's account that we interact with. We just love it, and we just want to keep it that way. So thank you for being with us for a couple of hours and having a bit of fun. Brad and Simon, you can wrap up.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone in the chat. Thanks for the extra subscribers. And thanks for sticking with us on this last 2 hours, 10 minutes, talking about one of our most favourite records.
Yeah.
Simon.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, so I'd say thanks to Sonia. Thanks for joining, Sonia. You'll be on soon. Hugh Caldwell, Deja Voodoo, Teresa, Maria de Souza. Warren, of course. Take care, Warren.
Warren!
John, ZD351. Ellen Forrestine. Thanks, Ellen. Who else did we have? Scrolling back, I can't scroll all the way back. Hugh Caldwell, Brooks Reed as well. New name. Brooks, thanks for dropping by. Jonas Hallberg. Thanks, Jonas. Of course, Nelson Rodriguez, always. And Arvin as well. Thanks, guys, for dropping by. And we had the Johnny Bean and
Daddy Bean.
Guitar Hack. Daddy Bean, Guitar Hack. Rena Spingle, the Pride of Gothenburg. So that's about as far back as I can go, guys. I'm afraid I'm like blowing up equipment. So thanks all for joining. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week for Truth.
Yeah.
Truth.
Yeah.
The Truth.
Exciting.
The Truth.
Oh, gee, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Well, it's been a gap, hasn't it? It's been a gap in our musings.
Jeff Beck's an interesting character, eh? I've got a couple of stories. I've got a really good story to share with you guys
Excellent.
next week. I've got
Save it for next week.
and it's firsthand from a guy. Yeah, it's interesting. He's an interesting fellow, Jeff Beck. Wow.
Yeah.
Can't wait, guys.
Fantastic. Good. Fantastic.
Okay.
All right, guys.
See you guys.
Be safe.
Take
Be
care.
cool.
We'll see you next week. Have a good week. Stay safe.